Lyra had always thought of Ethan as gentle. In a galaxy where most humans were considered fragile, short-lived, and often unpredictable, Ethan was different. He never raised his voice, never lost his patience, and carried himself with a quiet calm that drew people to him. Lyra often found herself marveling at his composure, his unshakable demeanor, and the soft way he looked at the universe around him, as if it were a puzzle he was always ready to solve. She teased him sometimes, calling him the gentle human, imagining that his calmness made him harmless. She had no idea how wrong she was. The space station they called home orbited a binary star system, its twin suns casting shimmering light across the metal and glass of the station. Lyra walked along the observation deck, her long hair brushing against her shoulders as she stared out at the stars. She was a Varelian scientist, trained to understand the smallest energies of the cosmos. Yet nothing had prepared her for the peace she felt while watching Ethan work beside her. He adjusted machinery with careful hands, tightening wires, calibrating instruments, and checking readings, all without a single flinch. His presence was a calm anchor amid the soft hum of the station's systems. Lyra smiled. "You really are too gentle for a galaxy full of danger," she said, her voice carrying a playful tone. Ethan glanced at her over the console. "I suppose I am," he said softly, and the corners of his lips lifted in that familiar, quiet smile that made her heart calm every time. But sometimes being gentle is the best way to survive. She laughed, shaking her head. Humans often hid their strength behind such soft words, she thought. It was one of the mysteries of their species, an elegance in simplicity, a kind of quiet power that the Varelians did not understand. The station shuddered suddenly, a subtle vibration under her feet. Lyra frowned, eyes narrowing as she leaned over the console. "Ethan, did you feel that?" He did not look worried. Instead, he walked toward the observation deck with measured steps, his eyes scanning the vast darkness beyond the station. "Something's out there," he said. Lyra followed him, her heart beating faster. Outside, in the endless black of space, shapes began to form. Sleek, angular vessels, more numerous than anything she had ever seen. Their metal gleamed under the twin suns, reflecting harsh lights like jagged shards of ice. These were not explorers or traders. These ships were built for war. "They're here," she whispered, fear prickling along her spine. "They're attacking." He did not shout, nor did he run to the weapons consoles. He simply stood, his gaze steady, and began analyzing the ship's formation. Lyra watched him, confused. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Watching," he said simply. And waiting, Lyra felt a twinge of irritation mixed with awe. How could he be so calm? She, a Varelian scientist, was already trying to reroute power to shields, calculate evasive maneuvers, and send a warning to nearby colonies. Meanwhile, Ethan stood there as if he were on a leisurely walk. The alien ships moved closer, their weapons glowing with an eerie energy that made the station's walls hum. Lyra's fingers trembled as she tried to contact command. No response. Panic rose in her chest. She had trained for emergencies, for sudden attacks, but nothing prepared her for the sight of a fleet this large, this organized, and so utterly merciless in its design. Ethan's calm remained unbroken. "They are not moving randomly," he said. "They are calculating, probing for weaknesses." Lyra's mouth opened to argue, but no words came. He was right. She could see the patterns now. Subtle shifts in the ship's paths, the way they adjusted to each other as if they were parts of a single living mind. And yet, Ethan's eyes saw something more, something she could not yet grasp. "They think we are weak," he said, almost to himself. "They have no idea what we're capable of." Lyra blinked. "We?" she asked, uncertainty and awe mingling in her voice.
"You mean us?" He turned to her, his face calm, eyes steady. "Yes,
"We." A soft alarm sounded in the station, and Lyra's body tensed. She expected Ethan to finally act, to raise his voice, to do something dramatic. But he simply walked to a panel, fingers dancing across the console, tapping commands with quiet precision. Lights flickered, screens lit up with tactical data, and slowly, she began to understand. Ethan had prepared for this, long before the aliens arrived, long before she even suspected danger. He had anticipated the need for defense. Lyra's heart raced. You knew they would come?" she whispered. Ethan nodded. "Not exactly. But humans always prepare for the unexpected. We don't rely only on hope or luck. We plan. We adapt. And when the time comes, we act." Beams of energy lanced through space, tearing through the station's outer shields. The hum of the station rose to a deafening roar as panels exploded and alarms blared. Lyra grabbed onto the railing, fear clawing at her throat. She expected Ethan to panic. She expected him to finally reveal the limits of his gentle nature. Instead, he moved with calm precision. He activated the station's defense systems, rerouted power to energy cannons, and coordinated the crew with a steady voice that carried over the chaos. Every command he gave was deliberate, every action calculated. The humans and Varelians working beside him obeyed instinctively. Lyra felt something stir inside her. She had always admired intelligence and skill, but this was different. This was something primal and undeniable, a power she had never seen in any species, not even among the Varelians, who prided themselves on their intellect. Ethan was gentle, yes, but he was also unstoppable when he needed to be. The alien ships advanced further, their fire intensifying. Lyra worked frantically at her console, trying to reinforce shields and coordinate with Ethan. He glanced at her briefly, eyes calm, and gave a single nod. She understood instantly what he meant. Trust him. And in that moment, Lyra realized something profound. She had underestimated humanity. She had thought Ethan's gentleness meant weakness, that his calm was a mask for passivity. But now she saw that it was a quiet strength, a depth of resolve that could not be measured by appearances. The first battle had begun. Lyra did not know how it would end, but she knew one thing for certain. The gentle human she thought she knew was far more than anyone in the galaxy could imagine, and the stars themselves were about to bear witness to it. The alien fleet moved closer, their ships forming perfect lines like predators circling a wounded prey. The space station shuddered with each blast from their weapons, and the air inside was thick with the scent of burnt circuits. Lyra could hardly breathe. She clutched the railing of the observation deck, her eyes wide as she watched Ethan. His calm had not faltered once. Every movement, every glance was deliberate, measured. "They are testing us," Ethan said quietly, almost to himself.
"They want to see how fast we react." Lyra's hands shook as she typed commands into her console. The station's defensive shield struggled to hold against the alien fire.
"Ethan, our cannons aren't strong enough," she shouted over the alarms. "We can't fight them." He simply turned to her, calm as ever. "Then we fight smarter." Lyra frowned. She had heard that phrase before from humans in old stories, but seeing it now, spoken by Ethan, she felt a surge of something she had never felt before. Hope. He moved to a larger console at the center of the control room. His hands danced over the controls, tapping sequences she didn't understand. Panels lit up showing maps of the alien fleet. Tiny points of light, representing their ships, shifted and moved. And Lyra noticed something strange. Ethan was predicting their movements. "How? How do you know where they will go?" she asked. Ethan's lips curved into a small smile. "Patterns, instincts, and experience," he said simply. "Humans are good at adapting. We can't always outgun our enemies, but we can outthink them." Before Lyra could respond, the station shook violently. An alien ship had broken through the outer shield, ramming one of the station's observation towers. Sparks flew everywhere, and alarms blared louder than before. Lyra felt herself flung against a wall, pain shooting through her shoulder. She struggled to stand, fear tightening its grip on her chest. And then she saw him. Ethan was moving through the chaos with calm precision, guiding crew members to safety, rerouting power, and issuing commands. His voice cut through the noise like steel.
"Move to the lower deck! Reinforce the shields!"
Fire at their engines, not their weapons. Lyra could hardly keep up. She had seen leadership before, but this was something different. This was human genius under pressure, and it was terrifying and beautiful all at once. The aliens unleashed a second wave, faster and more aggressive than the first. Lyra's heart pounded as she watched energy beams tear through the station's defenses, but Ethan remained unshaken. He activated a hidden compartment deep in the station, a vault no one had even known existed.
"Ethan, what is that?" He didn't answer immediately. His eyes were fixed on the holographic display of the alien fleet.
Then he spoke, his voice calm but carrying an undeniable edge. "It's what we need to survive." Before Lyra could react, massive weapons rose from the vault, ancient human designs she had never seen before. Ships that had been forgotten for centuries, hidden and dormant, now hummed with energy. Humans had built them long ago, knowing that one day the galaxy might need them. The alien fleet faltered. They had expected a defenseless station, not weapons older and more powerful than anything in their arsenal. Ethan's eyes narrowed. They think we are weak. They do not know what humanity is capable of.
Lyra's breath caught in her throat.
She had always admired humans for their creativity, their ingenuity, but this was something else entirely. The humans had been underestimated, dismissed, and thought fragile. Yet here was one of them, her husband, turning the tide with calm authority and unstoppable intellect. The first human ship fired. Energy beams lanced through space with precision, striking the lead alien ship and tearing it apart in a flash of light. The remaining ships faltered, confused by the sudden retaliation. Ethan did not pause. He guided the fire of the other hidden ships, each shot calculated to disable rather than destroy. Yet destruction followed anyway. Lyra felt her stomach drop.
"You're incredible,"
she whispered, unable to hide her awe. Ethan glanced at her, his expression unchanged. "We survive because we must," he said simply. Gentleness is not weakness. It is strength restrained until the right moment. Lyra watched as he coordinated attack and defense simultaneously. He anticipated enemy moves, blocked assaults, and countered with precision. Entire sections of the alien fleet were destroyed, not by brute force alone, but by strategy, human intuition, and the willingness to act decisively when necessary. The aliens regrouped, larger and faster this time. They unleashed a storm of energy that ripped through the station's outer hull. Lyra was thrown to the floor, coughing, her ears ringing from the explosions. She struggled to see through the smoke, but Ethan was there, moving through debris, guiding the crew, and issuing commands. His calmness had not only survived the chaos, it had shaped it. Then came the moment that shocked her the most. Ethan activated a human weapon she had never imagined existed, a star energy cannon capable of drawing power from nearby stars. Lyra's jaw dropped. "Ethan... That's too dangerous." He turned to her, eyes steady, voice quiet but unwavering.
"It's not dangerous for us. It's dangerous for them."
"We have no choice." The cannon hummed, glowing with a brilliant light as it absorbed energy from the twin suns. Lyra felt heat radiating through the observation deck, yet Ethan remained calm. Every action he took was measured, precise. There was no recklessness, no anger, just human resolve, quiet and terrifying in its strength. When the alien fleet attacked the cannon directly, Ethan anticipated it. He guided the station's defenses, using the cannon not just as a weapon but as a lure, drawing enemy fire while protecting his crew. Lyra watched in awe as alien ships were destroyed one by one, their formations breaking apart under his strategy. In the chaos, Lyra realized something profound. She had always believed humans were fragile, gentle, and weak. But here was Ethan, her gentle husband, demonstrating the hidden fury of humanity. Calm, restrained, and precise, his wrath was like a storm contained in a perfect form, striking only where it mattered, reshaping the battlefield with terrifying intelligence. By the time the first wave of the alien fleet was scattered, the station had suffered damage, but it remained intact. The crew was shaken but alive, largely because of Ethan's leadership.
Lyra stepped toward him, awe in her eyes.
You saved us, she said softly, almost unable to speak. Ethan looked at her, still calm, still gentle in the way he always was. No, he said. We saved ourselves. Humanity always finds a way. We are underestimated because we are calm, because we are patient, because we are gentle. But when the moment comes, we act. And when we do, he paused, eyes fixed on the horizon, on the remnants of the alien fleet retreating into space. We are unstoppable. Lyra felt a shiver run down her spine. She had lived her life among brilliant beings who prided themselves on intellect, technology, and power. Yet she realized now that she had never truly understood strength until she had seen it in Ethan, the quiet, patient, unstoppable force that was humanity. As the station's alarms quieted and emergency lights flickered, Lyra watched him move among the crew, checking on them, ensuring safety. She had once thought of him as gentle. Now she knew that his gentleness was a mask for something far greater, the fury of a species capable of reshaping the stars themselves. And somewhere deep inside, Lyra understood that the galaxy was about to learn the same lesson. One battle at a time. The alien fleet had retreated, but only for a moment. They were not defeated. They were regrouping, larger and more dangerous than before. Lyra stood on the observation deck, gripping the railing, her heart hammering in her chest. Ethan was calm, as always, but now his calm carried a weight she could almost feel, a force that radiated quietly, but powerfully.
They'll be back,
she said, her voice trembling. They always come back, Ethan replied, his gaze steady on the distant points of light where the enemy ships had vanished. But we will be ready. His hands moved over the consoles with precision, rerouting power, repairing shields and calculating trajectories of thousands of enemy ships she couldn't even begin to comprehend. To her, it was chaos. To him, it was a puzzle, and Ethan never failed to solve puzzles. The fleet reappeared, emerging from the shadow of a nearby asteroid belt. This time, the formation was tighter, more coordinated, their weapons charged to maximum capacity. They unleashed a barrage of energy that shook the station violently, tearing chunks of metal from its hull. The lights flickered, alarms blared, and debris floated through the corridors. Lyra struggled to stay upright. Ethan did not move like the others. He did not panic. He simply observed, his mind calculating, predicting, and preparing.
They expect us to retreat, he said softly.
They think they can scare us, but humans are never predictable.
Lyra watched as he activated the hidden human warships again. They rose from the station's vault, glowing with energy and power, each one a machine of destruction designed with precision and strategy. The alien ships advanced, but this time Ethan's approach was different. He did not just fire. He outsmarted them. The human ships moved in patterns the aliens could not anticipate. One by one, alien ships were disabled, not destroyed, but immobilized, trapped in energy nets, and pulled out of formation. Lyra gasped as she realized the depth of Ethan's planning. He was not just fighting to survive, he was teaching the aliens a lesson in strategy and cunning. "They are like chess pieces," Lyra whispered. "And you
are the player." Ethan nodded slightly. Every move counts, every choice changes the outcome.
"We fight not with brute force alone, but with intelligence, adaptability, and patience. That is humanity." The aliens regrouped again, their fleet now doubling in size. Lyra's stomach churned with fear. She had seen destruction before, but the scale of this attack was unlike anything in her experience. Entire fleets could vanish in moments, and planets near the battle could be collateral damage. She looked at Ethan, searching his calm face for a hint of worry. There was none, only determination. He issued orders quietly, but each command carried weight. Crew members scrambled with purpose, following his guidance without hesitation. He directed fire, maneuvered ships, and anticipated enemy tactics with uncanny precision. The aliens fired at what they thought were weak points, but Ethan had already anticipated every move. Every beam of energy they launched was deflected, absorbed, or redirected. Then came the moment that truly changed everything. Ethan activated the resonance cannon, the same weapon he had prepared earlier, now fully charged. It drew power from the twin suns, glowing with a brilliant, almost blinding light. Lyra felt heat radiating through the deck, but Ethan's hands remained steady on the controls. This is insane," she whispered. "It could destroy everything around us." He did not answer immediately. His eyes were fixed on the alien fleet, calculating, waiting. "It's not about destruction," he said finally. "It's about precision. We hit only what needs to be hit. We end this on our terms." The cannon fired, and the effect was immediate. Alien ships were ripped apart with surgical precision, their formations collapsing as beams of energy tore through engines and shields alike. Entire squadrons were immobilized, forced to retreat or face annihilation. Lyra watched, her breath catching in awe and fear. The aliens tried to adapt, but Ethan was already several steps ahead. He anticipated every maneuver, countering each attack with a combination of strategy and human ingenuity. Lyra began to understand something profound. Humans were underestimated not because they were weak, but because their strength was hidden behind calm, patience, and adaptability. "This is humanity," Ethan said quietly, almost to himself. "We survive, we adapt, and we act when it matters most. We are underestimated until it is too late." Lyra's hands trembled as she realized the truth of his words. She had thought she knew humans. She had thought Ethan was gentle and harmless. But now she saw the quiet fury that humans carried within. A fury that was restrained, controlled, and devastating when unleashed. The aliens were desperate now, their fleet scattered in chaos, trying to regroup. But Ethan anticipated every escape route. He guided the human ships to cut off their retreat, cornering them with precision. One by one, their vessels were disabled, their leaders forced to surrender or flee. Lyra felt a mix of awe and fear. She had always admired intelligence, but this was something more. This was human brilliance combined with resilience, courage, and the ability to act decisively under pressure. The galaxy had dismissed humans as weak, gentle, and fragile. Now Lyra realized how wrong they had been. Ethan moved through the command deck, checking on crew members, guiding repairs, and coordinating defenses. His calm presence reassured everyone, even as the station shook under enemy fire. Lyra followed him, unable to tear her eyes away from the man she had thought she knew.
"You're
"Different," she said softly. "Not just calm, not just gentle."
You're unstoppable."
Ethan glanced at her, his expression softening for the briefest moment. "Gentleness is not weakness. he said.
It is strength restrained, and when the moment comes,
we act. That is what it means to be human. Lyra watched as he returned to the controls, guiding the final strikes against the alien fleet. Ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light, debris scattered across space, and the remaining enemies retreated into the void, defeated and humiliated. The station was damaged, but it had survived. The crew was alive. Shaken but intact. Lyra felt her knees weaken as she sank to the floor, overwhelmed by everything she had just witnessed. She had once thought of humans as fragile, gentle beings. Now she knew the truth. Humans were capable of incredible resilience, intelligence, and fury when necessary. Ethan moved to stand beside her, his calm presence grounding her.
"The battle is not over," he said quietly. "But we have shown them what humanity is capable of."
And the galaxy will remember it.
Lyra looked at him, her eyes wide with awe. She had lived among brilliant beings her whole life, but she had never truly understood strength until now.
The stars themselves had witnessed a small glimpse of human power, and she knew that the universe had underestimated humanity at its own peril. In that moment, Lyra realized something that would stay with her forever. The gentle human she had loved was not just a kind, calm man. He was a force of nature, a strategist, and a warrior. His wrath was precise, controlled, and devastating, a reminder that humans could survive, adapt, and triumph against the greatest odds. And somewhere deep in the universe, beyond the scattered alien fleet, the message was clear. Never mistake calm for weakness. Humans were patient, quiet, and gentle, but when pushed, they were unstoppable. Lyra reached for Ethan's hand, feeling the steady warmth of his presence. I understand now, she whispered. I understand everything.
Ethan nodded, eyes still on the stars.
Then you know, he said, that the universe is about to change, and humanity will lead the way. The twin suns glimmered on the horizon, casting light over the battered station. Debris floated through space, evidence of the battle that had just been won. Lyra stood beside Ethan, her heart filled with awe and pride. She had thought she knew him, but now she realized that the universe had only begun to see the true power of a human. And the stars themselves seemed to tremble, as if they had felt the force of humanity's wrath for the first time. The alien fleet had returned once more, larger than anything the galaxy had ever seen. Thousands of ships, all gleaming with deadly energy, moved like a shadow across the star system. Lyra stood on the observation deck, her hands gripping the railing so tightly her knuckles were white. Her heart pounded in her chest, but she no longer felt panic. She felt awe. Fear had given way to awe, because she now knew what Ethan was capable of. He stood beside her, calm as always, his eyes scanning the horizon. The gentle human she had once known had vanished, replaced by something else, a force restrained by patience but capable of unimaginable destruction. Lyra felt a shiver run through her spine. They've brought everything, she whispered. We can't survive this.
"We will survive," he said, his voice quiet but unyielding. "Humans always do."
They may have numbers, but we have strategy, adaptability, and the courage to act when it matters most. His fingers danced over the holographic display, highlighting enemy ships, predicting movements, and assigning tasks with precision. The hidden human warships rose from the station once more, glowing with energy and power. Ethan's calm authority guided them like a master conductor guiding an orchestra. The aliens unleashed their full power, firing beams of energy that struck the station with brutal force. The hull shuddered, alarms screamed, and debris floated through the corridors. Lyra could hear the screams of frightened crew members, but Ethan moved among them like a steady beacon, issuing orders with a quiet voice that carried clarity and purpose.
"Fire at their engines," he commanded. "Disable. Do not destroy."
Keep them alive, but make sure they cannot escape. Lyra watched in amazement as alien ships faltered, their formations breaking under the precise attacks. Energy beams struck key points, disabling engines, shields, and weapon systems. Entire fleets were immobilized, unable to act as Ethan's strategy unfolded. But this time, the threat was greater. The alien flagship appeared at the center of the fleet, a massive vessel bristling with weapons, glowing with an energy that seemed to warp the stars around it. Its presence radiated power, and Lyra felt a chill run down her spine. The fleet's attacks grew more coordinated, more destructive, and the station began to suffer severe damage. Ethan did not panic. Instead, he activated the resonance cannon, the weapon capable of drawing energy from the twin suns themselves. Lyra watched as the cannon glowed brighter than any light she had ever seen, radiating heat and power through the observation deck. She could feel it even from where she stood, and yet Ethan remained calm.
This
could destroy the system, she whispered. It is precise, Ethan said. We strike only what must be struck, and it must be enough to end this. The cannon charged, and the alien flagship noticed immediately. Its weapons fired, energy beams striking the station in an attempt to stop it. But Ethan had anticipated this. Human ships maneuvered flawlessly, shielding the station while the cannon focused its power on the enemy flagship. Lyra could hardly believe what she was seeing. The aliens had expected brute force, but Ethan used precision, strategy, and patience to control the battlefield. Then he fired. The resonance cannon unleashed a beam of energy so powerful that it tore through space like a blade of pure light. The alien flagship shook violently as the beam struck it, the energy resonating with the very particles of the ship. Smaller vessels around it were caught in the blast, thrown into chaos. Lyra watched as the flagship exploded in a brilliant flash, scattering debris across the system. The remaining alien ships faltered, terrified by the destruction of their command vessel. Ethan did not pause. He directed the human ships to cut off escape routes, using energy nets and precise strikes to immobilize fleeing vessels. One by one, the alien fleet collapsed, their formation destroyed, their attacks neutralized. Lyra's heart raced as she realized the magnitude of what had just happened. The stars themselves seemed to shimmer in response to the cannon's power, as if the universe had felt the wrath of humanity for the first time. She had thought Ethan gentle, patient, and harmless, but now she understood the truth. His calm was not weakness. His gentleness was strength restrained, and when the moment came, he unleashed a force capable of shattering stars. The station shook one final time as the last alien vessels were disabled or destroyed. Silence fell, broken only by the soft hum of the station's systems. Lyra looked around at the crew, many shaken but alive, and then at Ethan. He stood calmly, surveying the wreckage of the battle with quiet authority. She stepped toward him, awe and disbelief in her eyes. I can't believe it, she whispered. You did all this with such calm. Ethan turned to her, a faint smile on his lips. Gentleness is not weakness, he repeated. Patience is not hesitation, and restraint is not inaction. Humanity survives because we can control our power, wait for the right moment, and strike with precision when it matters most.
Lyra reached for his hand, feeling the steady warmth of his presence.
She realized that the galaxy had underestimated humans not because they were weak, but because their strength was subtle, hidden behind calm and patience. Humans could endure, adapt, and overcome challenges that would destroy other species, and when pushed to the edge, they could unleash a fury so precise, so controlled, and so devastating that entire fleets could be annihilated without a single human life lost. The twin suns shone over the battered station, casting light on the debris floating in space. Ethan stood beside Lyra, calm and gentle as ever, yet the force he had wielded moments ago had reshaped the battlefield. The alien fleet had retreated into the void, and the galaxy would remember this day. Lyra realized something she had never understood before. The man she loved, the human she thought gentle, had a power beyond imagination. He had fought not for vengeance, not for pride, but for survival and protection. He had revealed the true essence of humanity, the ability to endure, adapt, and strike when necessary, with intelligence, courage, and unshakable resolve.
"You've changed everything," she said softly, looking at the stars. "The galaxy, it will never be the same."
Ethan nodded. "It will remember that humans are patient, calm, and gentle.
But when needed, we are unstoppable. The universe has underestimated us for too long. Now it knows." Lyra stood beside him, holding his hand, feeling the calm strength radiating from him. She understood, fully and finally, that humanity's greatest power was not in weapons or technology, but in their minds, their patience, and their courage. The gentle human she had once thought weak had shown her the ultimate truth. Humans could survive anything, adapt to any challenge, and unleash a force capable of shaping the stars themselves. And as the twin suns shone over the horizon, illuminating the debris of the battle and the retreating alien fleet, Lyra realized that the universe had witnessed something it would never forget: the wrath of humanity, restrained until the perfect moment, precise and unstoppable, and capable of shattering the stars themselves. Ethan looked out at the galaxy, calm, gentle, and yet infinitely powerful. Lyra squeezed his hand, knowing that she had not only witnessed the strength of a human, but had also become part of a story that would inspire awe across the cosmos. The battle was over, but the legend of humanity had only just begun, and somewhere deep in the stars the universe trembled, as if it had felt the full force of human wrath and would never underestimate it again.